Hey there, folks. I'm Chris Burkhardt, president and founder of Placers. I'm here with Brian Saleo, very talented man, lawyer, workforce consultant, trainer in the Placers business, and a leader who oversees a lot of the Placers customers. This is our Problems We Solve series. Each week, we kind of read the tea leaves, talk to customers, prospects, applicants, employees, and find out what questions are on people's mind. And well, first of all, welcome, Brian. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Good.
Never had a bad day in my life. As
Oh gosh.
No, probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, they were just negative moments, but you turned them into positives, right?
Exactly. There you go. That's exactly what we did. So Brian, first of all, kudos to you. The last one we did was about mental health, and you shared some things, and we've got nothing but terrific feedback and reviews. And hey, audience, not every week can be that sort of authentic and from the heart, but these are the topic. We'll just keep submitting topics, and we'll keep doing videos that address those topics.
Yep.
So something that's come about it. Hey, let's face it, it's graduation season, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everybody we know has a son, a niece, a nephew, a daughter, graduating. And it's a very common time to say, hey, I'm a graduate. How do I get a job? What's the job market like? Hey, I've got kids that are graduating. What should I do, Brian? So I'll just kick it off. One stat. I saw that corporate America wants to hire about 10% more college grads than the pandemic. Well, I don't know how many they hired last year during the pandemic, but at least it's 10% more. How's that hit you? And where do you think we should start this dialogue?
So, I think it's, you hear all of the comments out in the job market about how tough it is right now for employers to find people. But I don't know that is true for the college graduate pool. I think the lower level jobs, the manufacturing, light industrial type positions, they're very hard to fill right now. You can't walk into a restaurant where you don't see signs up saying, offering, looking for help, offering bonuses, things like that. But the college graduates, frankly, are probably going to be dealing with a lot of the same struggles that college graduates in recent years have. And it's probably a little worse given the pandemic. You've got businesses that shut down over the last year that just didn't make it. Or you've had budget cutbacks that they haven't fully recovered from. So there's a lot of challenges out there for sure. And I guess I would begin by saying most of my answers are going to go back to being flexible. So I think we're going to see that theme as we chat here.
Well, I definitely sort of picking up on your theme there. It's really obvious that college grads are going to be competing with not so recent college grads for professional jobs. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what was implied. If one thing was held up during the pandemic, it was probably professionals moving around a lot, right? And unless they had to. So college grads that want that professional job, there are lots of hiring, but there are lots of available candidates for those professional jobs. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Exactly. Yeah. The experienced workforce didn't move around a whole lot in the last year. So those positions are still held by experienced employees. There's been the uncertainty that we've talked about more than once in this series of people moving from job to job. You have college graduates from last year who entered the workforce in the middle of the pandemic who probably didn't necessarily find their ideal career first job type of thing and did something in the interim. So there's a lot of competition out there for new graduates.
So this is a fun question. Maybe it's a surprise question, but you're pretty good at this. If I'm a parent and I've got a college kid at home, how do I support this process?
I would tell them to go get one of the jobs at Wawa or Walmart and start supporting themselves as soon as possible.
Got it. Got it. So just put some money in their pocket, get the rhythm going. How about the parents themselves? Because it can be frustrating, it could be challenging. You want to help, you want to be supportive. What role should a parent play in this?
I think supportive, obviously, empathetic, because it is a challenging time, and the challenges that college students faced over the last year of learning virtually when college is supposed to be that personal interaction experience. College graduates didn't get that over the last year and a half. They had graduation ceremonies where kids graduating last year didn't even have them. And so they've had a rough go.
Yeah.
But, I think it's important to remind them that they have been through a tough time and that they should be proud of themselves for getting through it, because it's not a challenge that any of us can relate to. This is nothing that we've ever been through before. And so to graduate from college with those circumstances in place, really they should be applauded for it, and hopefully boost their confidence, because this job market can shake their confidence, that's for sure.
Well, it certainly speaks to their, I don't know, grit and stick-to-itness to, I mean, it's hard enough to graduate during normal times, but pandemic and remote learning and reduced college experience and all the stops and starts of this, it's a very good reminder. What are employees looking for in their college grad hires? Has that shifted and changed?
So obviously for jobs that require a certain skill set, they're looking for training in that area, looking at internship experience, things that they've done kind of in their real world. I personally look for people who have demonstrated through some type of work experience that they can hustle, that they're driven and motivated, waiters and waitresses, bartenders, people who have had jobs that really, you got a lot of plates spinning and they've been able to manage that. That's something that I really value as a potential hiring manager. So I think those types of things are really important. Customer service experience. Those are all things that really can translate into that first big job.
I think you're right on. How can students prepare for this post-COVID-19 job market? What should they be thinking about?
Yeah, that's a great question. And going back to the flexibility thing, I think graduates have to be prepared for the fact that the first job that they take out of college might not be the one that they always thought that they were working towards and what they were going to achieve. It could be a short-term or a contract type of position. It could be just another internship, but one that a graduate could potentially do.
Brian, I just heard something interesting that said recruit somebody once and then hire them twice.
Yeah.
So that intern and then converting to a professional role. I think we're going to borrow that at Placers. I liked it so much.
Yeah. It's reminiscent of the, try before you buy model that temporary staffing is. You bring in somebody, whether you bring them in on a contract or as an intern or whatever, you get to see what they can do. And we've had a lot of success as a company bringing in interns and realizing that they had the potential to be here long-term, and we've hired them. So I think if you're out on the market, you're not necessarily finding the job that you always thought you were going to have when you graduated from college. Be flexible and consider maybe a contract position, maybe an internship, maybe something that just is in customer service that allows you to get some information on your resume and shows that you're building towards something. Because employers are also, I think, going to be understanding of the fact that it is challenging for fresh grads out there. And so, having something on your resume showing that you're putting the initiative out there is going to be better than having nothing.
Brian, a recent dialogue I was having around this with a recent college grad And the advice I was giving him was, you're probably not even sure what kind of boss that you need or like how they communicate and how they set goals and how they hold you accountable. And you probably don't know what industry or company culture is like. And our big part of our dialogue was that, this young man, although degreed, really didn't know what he wanted. And I was just kind of saying, it's okay. Your first job helps you it actually gives you an informed opinion about yourself of what you like and don't like. And I'm so surprised at how that kind of hits the college grads the wrong way. How else are any of us going to learn what we like and need from a boss and like from a culture and like from a job unless you start with one?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's all, it's all in theory in the classroom or in your daydreams of what your career is going to be like. But until you actually go out and experience it, you don't know what it's all cracked up to be. And you might find that it's not necessarily the best fit for your personality or work ethic or whatever. Very true.
I've been asking a couple of questions. What questions are you thinking about related to college grads and work?
So just kind of reflecting on, what it's going to mean for a fresh grad searching for a job. I think one of the big things is preparing yourself for the fact you're probably going to have virtual interviews. Make sure you're comfortable with being on a webcam and talking to an employer, making sure you're dressing the part. Oh,
and by the way, that your laundry basket is probably not behind you.
Correct.
Right.
Make sure you don't have, posters on the wall that you wouldn't want your mother to see on a meeting with you, those kinds of things. Just making sure that you're presenting yourself in a professional manner and a way that an employer is that will appeal to them. You're going to have, networking is so important in trying to find a new job. You're going to have to probably do virtual networking events until we get fully open back up, and we're getting there, but we're not there yet. So doing those types of things, looking for those on LinkedIn and other social networking sites is a huge way to potentially put yourself out there and find yourself your next job.
We go to school, we get this degree, we don't realize that we have to manage our job search. There's not really a good class around that.
No.
Where do you think someone can get like an expertise on that? A book you like? I certainly should say, hey, Placers has an active kindness program right now. If anybody wants any coaching, we'll give it to you. So we'll make sure you have contact information. That's a given. But you've been around the block. I've been around the block. What resources do you like to refer people to?
So there are countless videos on YouTube and things like that give you interview pointers and tell you to make sure you're looking at the webcam on your computer and not at the screen, which I don't always do. But there's lots of materials out there to take a look at. Practice. I mean, it's very easy, call up somebody you trust and ask them to ask you some questions and make sure that you're comfortable with a virtual interview.
So, Brian, I think you're really saying, take a minute, tell me about yourself, listen to the answer, and somebody critique your answer. Go through that process.
We're all going to get that question. Tell me about a difficult time you've had in an employment situation and how did you handle it? Tell me about the boss you had that was your favorite, or tell me about a boss you had that you didn't like. Tell me what motivates you. All those kinds of generic interview questions. You're probably going to see one or more of them. So have a conversation with somebody by video and talk through it and see what answers you come up with.
So I don't know. I think you'll agree with me, but if you don't, it would make for great radio or audio for us to chat about it. One of the things that I think it might be a little polarizing is there seems to be so much thought that your GPA is really like the most important thing. And I'm not so sure. I'm finding when I talk to folks, they want to know what kind of projects you led, what teams you were on. Were you a leader on the sorority thing? Did you work on campus and deliver mail? Mm-hmm. I understand everybody thinks that the academics are the cat's meow. I'm saying what I think is that the world needs people that can communicate with others, be good teammates, have interpersonal skills. So you could just add to this or go in a different direction. But guys, you've worked so hard on that resume. You've worked so hard on, your academics, but understand that's just a golden ticket to show the kind of person that you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, grade point averages are kind of like the nice to have, in my opinion. I mean, if you see a really high grade point average on a resume, you're like, wow, that's pretty impressive. And maybe you talk about it. But if somebody has a low grade point average or no grade point average on their resume, I really don't put that much credence into it. I look at what they studied and I evaluate them based on the interview that they have with me. And if they strike me as somebody that is capable, that's motivated, and that has that hunger that I think is so important in any job, then I think most employers will take a chance on them.
Brian, would you hire someone who had the skills or someone who had the attitude that you were looking for?
Attitude, 100%, because you can teach people things, but you can't change attitudes. It's like that internal wiring that you have. If you're wired to be successful, to be motivated, to, just come to work every day and work hard, those are things that are ingrained in you that we as an employer can't teach. Either you have it or you don't, and you have to make that decision for yourself.
And again, if you're a hiring manager listening to this for a highly technical degree, we do understand that people have to have the technical track and capabilities. But over and over again, when I talk to technical hiring managers, it's not the technical stuff, it's the issue, it's the people in between.
Yes.
And always. So that bias is so real.
Yep.
It's such an interesting thing. What else are you thinking about as you research this topic?
One thing that kind of jumped out at me is, you may have a time frame, the summertime or whatever, as we continue to come out of this, where, you're going to be in the middle of your job search, but maybe you don't find something right away. One of the things I think would be a great idea would be doing some type of continuing education. You don't have to sign up for another college course or a master's degree or things like that. There's an organization called Management and Strategy Institute that offers courses. They claim to be the #1 online certification provider in the United States. I signed up for some classes on Six Sigma, lean manufacturing, change management, those types of things. I actually found a Groupon. There are a lot of Groupons out that they put out. And you can get these courses and complete them in your own time for $500-600, and they'd look great on a resume. So if you have the time to do something like that, I think that's a great move.
You don't got to go to Stanford, in other words. That
absolutely not.
Great democratization of education. It's only going to get cheaper. Knowledge is there. There's free online courses. You're so right. So it's not an excuse to keep learning.
Right. Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Better yourself. Do what you need to do to better yourself, and it'll make you more confident and it'll make you more marketable to a potential employer.
So I'm going to get in the heads of the parents and grandparents as they're sitting at the dinner table watching their recent college grad spend all day on the PC on their job search. Any advice to the family about that whole process?
Be patient and understanding. Offer them advice when you can. Be supportive. I think a positive mental attitude during something like this is always going to benefit you. And as a parent, guardian, grandparent, whatever you might be, I think instilling that level of confidence and support goes a long way, and it's probably the best thing you can do.
And I just want to hammer home one of the points that Brian made, and it's my own words for it, but where you start is not where you end. So the family has this unit of how it's going to be. Reality is 50% of all workers are soon to be either outsourced, contingent, freelance, contractor, independent contractor, or temporary. So understand that your career path is going to look and feel differently. And a recent fresh grad is very likely to gain their experiences through one of those outlets. And Brian, I'm sure you'd agree, many times a temporary gets moved around more than someone who's slotted into a job. It's the very nature of the work. You get exposure. You might get faster relationships, exposure to training faster because it's kind of outside of the corporate system.
Sure. And you've got a little bit of time you can ride on your parents' health insurance. So taking a contract job and getting that type of experience is usually a pretty good deal for you to get your foot in the door that way.
I think it did it extend to 26, Brian? Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. And you know, that's a big deal with the way things are today in the market. We're hitting on a lot of good points. Any summary or any other areas you want to go in this dialogue?
I would just finish off by saying that the one piece of advice, bringing it all back home, is, you know, be flexible and open to different things. Keep your options open. What you planned might not work out exactly as you planned it right now, but that doesn't mean that you can't achieve great things. You just have to be patient, determined, and open to things that maybe weren't exactly what you planned for, but that might get you to your end goal ultimately.
And that's such a critical point, because if you don't represent those things around patience and have a long-term viewpoint and be on your game, that's going to show up as you interview, video or not. And, you know, if there's one thing that has turned off hiring managers, it's inflexibility lately, big time. So it resonates for me as you say that. Brian, I would close sort of my last and final on this is the world of work is operating very, very differently. And employers need different things from you than maybe you learned in college, guys. And it's a little bit, you know, the world is about doing teamwork. You're not solo very much. You know, I also think that there's a lot of change right now. And if you can be one of the folks on the team who adopts the change quickly versus the one, I mean, you weren't there when it was the way it was, so you can change quickly.
Sure.
Just a lot of those things about how you can be of value to whatever your first gig is, that if you know, you don't have that baggage of someone that's been there a while, maybe liked it the way it was, that's very advantageous in a time where there's just such flux and change for the businesses that you're going to work at.
Absolutely. Yep. Great point.
So again, this is our Problems We Solve series. We've been talking about, you know, helping college students, you know, transition during this post-pandemic time to a job market. Brian, how can they reach us if there's anybody's got someone who's in transition from this spot, or a college student looking to get something?
So, of course, you can reach me by going to the Placers website. That's www.myplacers.com. My email address is linked in there, so you can get to me that way. The other thing I wanted to throw out there was the organization I referred to, Management and Strategy Institute. That's at www.msicertified.com. And you can go on there, sign up for courses, and they're pretty reasonably priced. And I think it'd be a great way to bridge the gap here while you're searching for your next job.
Brian, I think your insights were right on point here. I look forward to talking to you soon when we revisit the next question.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.